everyone, my name is Michelle and this is my channel where I document my journey with stage 4 triple negative breast cancer and adrenal insufficiency. Since my last video, I have had 2 more Trodelvy infusions. One was yesterday and one was a week before yesterday. So we're going to talk about that today. So just to recap, the first week I had a ton of awful side effects. Diarrhea, then constipation, a lot of nausea. I felt awful. I had some colitis flare up. I had my neutrophils did not recover and they needed to cancel that second infusion that week and postpone it a week. So pleasantly surprised, after the second infusion, I had very few side effects. Now, I had kind of gotten myself back onto some supplementation before that, specifically GI focused supplements, which I think I posted about in my last video as well. Keeping with that kind of mindset, I stayed very focused on supporting my GI system through the second round. And so I kind of went through all of the supplements that I took last week and then what I'm adding in this week as well, for more focused on cellular repair in addition to the GI support. But I do think it definitely made a difference. I did not need to take any anti-diarrheal or anti-nausea medicine after the second infusion last week. So for pre-meds, for the second and third, they were the same as before, except they did the atropine pre-med instead of waiting until I had a reaction, which is what they did the first time. So that, I think, also made a huge difference. So for pre-meds, I had fluids. I always request fluids. They did 0.4 milligrams IV atropine along with the 130 milligrams IV Cinvanti and 0.25 milligrams IV of Aloxi, which is the anti-nausea. And then orally, 12 milligrams of dexamethasone, 650 milligrams of Tylenol, 10 milligrams of Zyrtec, and 20 milligrams of Pepcid. My cancer center, I may have mentioned this the first time, has switched over to Zyrtec from Benadryl. I don't know why. They said it works better. It's a newer generation antihistamine, but it also doesn't make you, they say, quite as drowsy, although I am very drowsy there and when we leave. So those were the pre-meds that I got with the second infusion. Everything was the same with the third, except I got 1,000 milligrams of fluids because they had a big bag available and asked me if I wanted the whole thing, and I never refuse fluids. 3 things at the hospital you never refuse. 1 is fluids, 2 is a heated blanket, and 3 is a window seat. So those are good advice for going to an infusion center. If they offer it, take it. And port access for blood work too. If you're going there for an infusion, you might as well just have them stick you once and get the blood from your port, as opposed to poking your arm first or trying to look for a vein, especially if you have lymphedema like I do. I only have one arm that they could use, and there's like 2 good veins in that arm, and why keep poking it if we don't have to? So anyway, so last Thursday I had infusion number 2. I felt pretty good all week and was taking my GI supportive supplements pretty much religiously. And I also think some antioxidants, not on chemo day. So on chemo day, I take very little in addition to just the pre-meds and the chemo, because my system is already needing to filter all that out. So I didn't take I pretty much don't take any supplementation at all on chemo day. So I take it up to the day before and then starting the day after the GI stuff, which I may as well go ahead and put that video here of the supplements that I was taking last week and then the supplements we're adding this week. Okay, so it's after the second infusion of Trodelvy, I had a pretty good week. I didn't have really any side effects that caused me to take prescription meds. So this is what I was doing. In my coffee, I would use this colostrum collagen in my coffee in the morning with some heavy cream, and that was how I started my day. I would also do 1 scoop of glutamine in some water to help any GI symptoms that I was having, any reflux, diarrhea or constipation, even stomach cramping and gas. I'd take a little bit of this, and it would calm those GI symptoms, so I didn't need to take the antidiarrheal or the antiemetic medications. My element, so I would definitely have at least one electrolyte packet every single day, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. I add 4 to 6 drops of nascent iodine into that, definitely a few days after treatment, and then every other day after that. I've been taking the liver support, Rocasa, also doing castor oil packs, maybe 2-3 times a week. The relief, if I'm having any even mild symptoms, I'll take some relief. I've been having some pain in my rib that that helps with as well. And then the B12, I'm using this up because this week there's not much left. Maybe there's 1 or 2 doses left, but I had this, so I've been using this up and taking that. Basically, when I take the liver support, I take that as well, just because I remember it. And also between the second and third infusion, I added my multivitamin, some acetylglutathione, and zinc carnosine, which is also good for GI symptoms. I've been taking a probiotic and the Similase digestive enzymes with dinner, and magnesium, the triple complex magnesium, which is glycinate, citrate, and malate. 2 of these is a serving size. I've been taking 2 in the evening and 1 in the morning, and that is helping to keep things regular. Also, these were in the fridge. I've been taking the Antioxidant Infusion, longer than the elderberry. I've been taking the elderberry immune support for maybe 3 or 4 days now. I'm not sick, but I have been in crowded areas, so I've been just kind of boosting immune system there. But the antioxidant immune support and cellular health, I think this is really making a difference in the chemo side effects, because that was kind of the one thing that I added last week, and I didn't have to take the antidiarrheal and I didn't have to take the anti-nausea, so that's good. And then this week we are adding in, again, some immune boosters and cellular stuff here. So Ester C, that's my vitamin C that I take. I've added that back in as of a couple days ago. Active B complex, I started that again this morning, so I'm switching over from just the B12 to the B complex. Now this has methylfolate, methylcobalamin, biotin, riboflavin, niacin. So it has like all the B's and in the ratios that my naturopath recommends. So added that back in. I added ALA Max and coenzyme Q10 back in also today. Was the first time I'm taking those. So, I mean, I've taken all of these before, but we're adding them back in because those are really good for mitochondrial repair and for just kind of building back up what were the healthy cells that might be harmed during chemo. And then modified citrus pectin, as tolerated. I have not added this back in yet because I do think that I'm sensitive to that, and that could potentially trigger some diarrhea. So we're holding off on that for now. So that's my supplements this week. Hopefully I put these videos in order, because I forgot to mention after the second infusion, the day after, I had a little adventure that I completely forgot to tell you about, and I ended up in the ER. So I had this sensation. I was reaching across my body, so reaching my right hand across my body toward the left, and I felt this pop in my rib cage, kind of right under the breast. I felt that, so I had a dull pain there for a few days before, but it was just soreness. It just felt like maybe it was, musculoskeletal of some nature. I slept wrong, I twisted wrong, whatever, just kind of babying it. But then I felt this pop, and the pain was intense after this pop, and I couldn't really take a deep breath. I would say the pain was, when they tell you to rate it out of 1 to 10, it was like a 7. And I couldn't twist my body at all. I couldn't reach down to pick something up. I couldn't reach across my body like this. And so I called my oncologist. because it's the right side where the liver is, and I have metastases in my liver. I do have metastases in my bones. They're in my spine, but you never really know, is the rib cage involved in that? And so he called ahead and he sent me to the ER, and they did a CAT scan to rule out all the scary things. So broken bone, which could happen. If you have a tumor growing in your bone, it could break it. The liver mets or something else in the liver. There was a cyst that had been seen in the liver as well when they diagnosed the stage 4. Or blood clots. So blood clots are also always a concern for people in chemo. They checked my heart as well in that CAT scan, and everything looked fine. All of those scary things were ruled out. So they determined that it was muscular. So the intracostal muscle, which is between the ribs, was pulled somehow. I don't know how. I was just reaching. I didn't have any weight in my hand or anything. I was just reaching across my body, but I pulled a muscle. And so they gave me muscle relaxers, and they offered painkillers. I did not take narcotic painkillers. I felt as long as I sit still, it was at like a 4 or 5. A 4, really. If I move or twist, it was up to like a 7, sometimes an 8. Sometimes it was, if I, really reached for something, it was an 8, but I could manage it. Coughing, sneezing, that hurts. It still does hurt, but I'm now at like a 4 with the twisting, and at more like a 3 or a 2 just sitting here doing nothing. I can twist, I can reach, I can pick something up that's relatively lightweight without it going over a 5 at this point, without any painkillers. So I was just taking Advil. My oncologist said to take 600 milligrams of Advil every 6 hours. I didn't take it every 6 hours. I only took it twice a day. And Flexerol muscle relaxers, which they said I could take up to 3 times a day or something. And I took it twice the first day after the ER visit. And then after that, I just took it at bedtime because it really just made me sleep. Yeah, and visited the chiropractor again. He did that zone therapy, very light pressure stretching as opposed to adjusting. And I think that helped a little bit. And then I had acupuncture as well. And I think that actually helped a lot. When I was in acupuncture, it didn't hurt at all. I didn't even feel it while I was laying there with the needles in. So, and after that acupuncture session, I did not take any other medication for that muscle pain after that, because it didn't get bad enough that I felt I needed to take anything. So that was my adventure. It was the day after the second Trodelvy infusion. And so I've been dealing with that pain now for a week, but it is improving steadily. One more thing they had me do with the muscle pain and the ER visit, an incentive spirometer. There's a little part of my lung that is not fully inflating, so I have to do this. 5 times in a row. They want you to do it like every hour or 2. So doing that too. Okay, so now that you know all that. This week, yesterday, I had the same pre-meds, again, 1,000 milliliters of fluids. And the chemo infusion, and I feel pretty good today. I have not had any diarrhea or constipation. I have not had any, although that it's a little dry. So I would say that, bowel movement is, I have to also make sure that I'm eating enough fat and staying hydrated, because the atropine especially is very drying. I have dry eyes, I have dry mouth, and so the stool is harder, but I'm not constipated, and I'm not having any nausea. Last night I had a little bit of very, very mild nausea with some reflux, and I think that was really just related to I had a little bit more spice than I'm used to with dinner, so that's fine. So and today we're adding in those few supplements that I mentioned. Also last night I did have I slept I was really tired when we came home. I kind of made myself, focus on things to stay awake. And then we went to bed around 11, and I woke up at 2:30 and could not fall back asleep. So I think that at this point, my body is acclimating a little bit to the Trodelvy, and I don't need as much of the steroids. Signs that I may be over replacing steroids are not being able to sleep or having an insatiable appetite. And I would say that I could eat anything you put in front of me right now because I feel like I'm starving, but I'm not starving. I'm also kind of bloated. So, and that puffiness too, that's also a sign of over replacing steroids. So I'm going off orders, which I did see my endocrinologist this week and kind of told her my thinking with how I'm managing my steroids. And she told me that she was super impressed, and she wrote me a prescription for some more dexamethasone in smaller doses so that I could tweak it as I need to, because she's like, you have a really good handle on what your body needs. You're writing everything down, first of all, which is great, but you can feel when you're low. You can identify when you have low cortisol. So she said, I trust you completely to tweak it as you need. So she wrote me a prescription for 2 milligrams of dexamethasone. I have some ones in addition to the 4 milligrams that they give me with the cancer treatment. They want you to take, so you get 12 at infusion day, and then they want you to take 8 for the 3 days after. Well, I took 6 this morning because I already can't sleep. And so I'm probably going to go down again tomorrow, especially if I can't sleep. I'll go down to 4 and then maybe take 2 in the afternoon or 1 in the afternoon. So this afternoon, if I start to feel symptoms of low cortisol, I can just take 20 milligrams of hydrocortisone to kind of bump up that cortisol in my blood and get me through that, and then maybe reduce the dose again of Dex tomorrow as well. So it is an art form. There's a science behind it. Like, I know the milligram exchange, 12 milligrams of Dex is approximately 320 milligrams of hydrocortisone. My normal baseline dose of hydrocortisone is 20 milligrams in the morning, 10 at noon, and 5 at 6 p.m. Hydrocortisone only lasts in your body 4 to 6 hours. So dexamethasone lasts in your body 18 to 36 hours. So I know these kind of rates, and I'm kind of able, after 3 years almost, or 2 years, I'm able to kind of manage that. And so figuring that out, I think, is the biggest thing with being in active treatment. Because I can't ever, I don't now have the ability to look forward to a day where I could try to taper off of steroids, which I probably wouldn't have been able to do anyway, but it was always in the back of my mind that maybe I could heal that pituitary damage from the Keytruda. And now, if I'm going to be in some sort of active treatment for the rest of my life, I'm always going to be stressing my body. And so if the stress on my body isn't as much with the 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th infusions, because my body's getting used to the Trodelvy, then I won't need as much steroids because my body knows what to expect and can deal with it better. Okay, so 3rd infusion was yesterday. Still dealing with a little bit of that muscle pain in my rib cage, but it's not too bad. And we're adding in some more supportive vitamins, just a few, that I think will be helpful to the recovery process after infusions as well. Next week is my week off. I do see my oncologist next Thursday. They'll check my blood. I have the new Lasta. It's preloaded, and it's 28 hours after infusion. It will inject a bone marrow stimulation to rebuild my white blood cells and neutrophils so that my immune system comes back quicker. They do that after the 2nd. So it's the Trodelvy is 2 weeks on, 1 week off. After the 2nd infusion of the cycle, they give you the new Lasta so that you have 2 weeks before you come back, and it rebuilds your immune system. So I have that. I did have that before when I was stage 3. I had it with the adriamycin. So I kind of know what to expect. It's going to inject over the course of, I don't remember, like an hour or something. It'll beep. I'll feel the needle. It'll inject the medicine, and then it will beep again when it's all done and the needle's retracted, and I can take it off and throw it away. So, so that's going to happen today at some point. So that with the Trodelvy, unlike prior chemos, I mean, I guess it could be different every time, and we'll just have to see. But so far, it seems like the chemo burden on my body is less with the second and third infusions than it was with the first. Maybe that has to do with the pre-meds. Maybe that has to do with my theory of I'm being more supportive to my body and specifically pinpointing GI symptoms and now vitamins to help my body repair quickly. But maybe it's just that your body acclimates to it and it's better as time goes on instead of worse, which is good for someone who's stage 4. As long as it's working, then there's every reason to be optimistic you can stay on it, indefinitely if your body is not getting bombarded and getting worse and having damage be cumulative. So that's where I'm at right now. That's my update. All right, so have a great weekend. Don't forget to turn your clocks ahead and enjoy that extra hour of sunshine in the afternoon. I know we're looking forward to that. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time.